Okay guys, this video is for showing the method of rewriting. It says here, using algebra to write a new equivalent equation that is easier to solve. So with this example here, we're going to take what looks to be a more difficult problem and rewrite it so it's actually a lot easier to solve. And in this example, we're going to find the least common multiple of 3, 4, and 6, and that's 24. So that's what we're going to use. And what that means, we're going to multiply each expression, the whole thing, by 24. But watch, I'm going to write it though. I say, well, for this first piece right here, I want to basically get rid of the 4, so I'm going to multiply it by 24, but I'm going to write it as 6 times 4. Like that. So now what happens when we multiply this by the whole expression here? Well, the 4's cancel, and what I'm left with is 6, x minus 5. Over here, I've got a 3. Well, that's multiplying, that's 8 times 3 is 24. Now again, I'm still multiplying by 24 in each of these. I'm just writing it slightly different to make it easier on me. So the 3's cancel, and I'm just left with 8 times 1. Okay, and then the last step over here, I've got this one over here, 5/6. So I'm going to multiply by 6 times a 4, just like I did over in this side over here. So the 6's cancel, and I'm left with 20. So now what we're left with now is actually a much simpler equation. It's a lot easier to solve than the original one that we had at the beginning. So this was rewriting the equation in order to solve it. Okay guys, this video is showing you the method of looking inside, which is defined as reasoning out the value of the expression inside the function or parentheses. And what's funny about this one is it's not really something that you can write out as much. It's something you more have to think. It just says reasoning out. So it's not something I would expect you to be writing a lot for, but maybe making a note of it. And actually, this is one that a lot of us do already. We just haven't really put a name on it yet. So that's what we're going to do now. So in this example, we're trying to solve for x here. And it's a pretty basic example, but what you look at, you say, well, this is 12 over here. This is 6 times something. So you're thinking to yourself, well, 6 times what? I'm going to write this down. Let's see. So 6 times something equals 12. Well, that's going to have to be a 2. So what we're really looking at is 6 times 2 equals 12. Alright, so that's fair. There we go. Which just means then x minus 5 must equal 2. Well, we can add 5 to both sides in our head. That's x is 7. So we solved this using, like I said, this method of reasoning out the value of an expression inside the function. We said x minus 5 must be a 2, therefore x is 7. And basically what we did then was took a more complicated problem and just turned it into this, x minus 5 equals 2. And we didn't really have to do much writing or algebra up here. So like I said, this is a method that a lot of us actually use already, but now we're putting a name on it. So that was looking inside. Okay guys, this is the method of solving called undoing. It says reversing or doing the opposite of an operation, for example, taking the square root to eliminate the squaring. So we're going to do an example right here. We have this problem, and just for a second, stop. Don't think about how you would usually do it, maybe if that was for you distributing. I know that's what it was for me, but we're going to pause and talk about undoing. So, and this, we're going to look in this method of solving. We're going to say, well, I'm going to undo this 8. Well, so undoing the 8, well, right now it's adding, so undoing would be subtracting. So subtract the 8 from both sides. Goes this new problem here. 6 5 equals 12. So we just undid the positive 8. And then from here we'd say, well, we're undoing this multiplied by 6, so we divide by 6 on both sides. So this is probably the most common one that we've used in the past of undoing. And maybe even it was actually taught, solving for x was taught to you this way. I know some schools that teach teach it that way directly. So to do that method, you just have to stop and say, okay, what's happening here? What is going on? And how do I undo it? And that's how you do this method of solving for x. Okay guys, this is the method of solving called graphing both sides of the equation and seeing where the intersections are. This is the one we've done the most recently in class with the absolute value inequality, so please look back at that material if this is still a little rough for you. Like it says, graph both sides of the equation. So we're going to graph over here in y1. So in your calculator, in the y1, put the left side of the equation, and y2, put the other side. This is where you're going to use the second calc feature. So if I'm just going to sketch it on here. You can do it on your actual calculator. But if we were to graph these two things, I mean, we have a straight line going on here, and then that's the left side that has a slope of 6, and then the other side is just a 12. Now, again, I'm not drawing to scale or even close to what it would actually look like, but this is basically the situation. We have two straight lines, and they're going to use the second calc feature, go down to intersect, and push enter, 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 and we'll find that point of intersection. And that's just solving by graphing. We did this a lot with the absolute value inequalities. So this is the one that I would always suggest using this on any equation just to check your answer. Just check your answer if you want to see what it looks like, if you want to make sure it makes sense to you. I highly recommend using graphing to always check your answers. Even if that just means doing in addition to the other methods of solving that your group members are learning about right now.